All right, First United, we are here in Gathering Place. We are here with our expert today on emotions. She is Sara Keene. You will know her, especially at First United. She's one of our singers on Sunday morning in both the band and the choir. She has a husband, Steve, but more importantly, she has little Steve or Stevie, one of our most favorite additions to our church. But she is our expert in mental health and emotions. And so, Sara, why don't you introduce yourself in your official capacity, besides the great singer that you are, but your official capacity as a mental health counselor.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I'm Sara Keene. I am a licensed mental health counselor. So I'm a therapist. I sit and talk with people, and I work with kids and adults on all kinds of different things. So I work a lot with anxiety and depression. As you can imagine, there's a lot of that. But yeah, that's what I do.
Well, this week we're talking about emotions, and one of the things I've already said in my sermon is I have no clue what I'm doing in this, and talking about emotions and trying to figure it all out, and how we deal with emotions, and how we struggle with emotions, and how we try to control emotions. So, the floor is yours. What do we do with our emotions?
Well, your emotions, you really can't control. The,
Oh
you
no, I
know, they,
can.
But we
well,
want to so badly.
you think you can, yes. Yes, you want to control them, but it's how you feel. You can't really control how you feel. So really the best you can do is control how you react to those feelings, right? How you react to a situation. So yeah, your emotions are just your feelings. They just are.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's going to tie into my sermon really well. Thanks for saying that, Sara. Our second question we have for you is, in the Christian world, we have this saying, faith over fear, or
Is that
just
a
for
Christian world saying? I don't know if that's Christian world saying. I think that's.
I mean, I've been hearing it a lot lately, like have faith over fear. And some people really live by that. And I don't want to take that away from anyone. But I mean, those types of sayings could be really hard for folks who struggle with mental health. I mean, anxiety, don't be afraid. Easier said than done. What are instead maybe some helpful sayings when someone is struggling with their emotions, with mental health, with fear and anxiety? Like you said, things that just simply are that we can't always have control over.
Right, and that's the key, is that most of the time these things are things that we cannot control, and we want to, and that's why it's distressing. We are, as humans, we're designed to want to control things and have order and predictability in our lives. So yeah, it causes chaos when it doesn't happen the way we want. But being with somebody who's distressed, it can be really meaningful to just be with them. You don't necessarily have to say a lot, and you don't necessarily have to address the issues that they're struggling with. But if you think about a time that you were really hurt, or something terrible had happened, or whatever you were struggling with, just someone kind of hanging out with you sometimes, or talking about other things might be what you need. But if you are addressing whatever the issue is for that person, it's okay to keep it really simple. We get caught up in I don't know what to say, because it's this big emotional situation, and you're not expected to fix their problems or resolve an issue for them. But just keeping it simple and reminding someone that it's going to be okay, and you are doing the best you can. I'm here to support you. So trying to be encouraging and positive is really the most important part, because that's probably what you need in that type of situation, right? So. Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if you can see this, but I'll show it up. It's the spinny wheel of emotions that Amy sent me.
You printed it out.
Wow.
I couldn't see it on the screen, so I printed it out. But it talks about these emotions, and they spread out, and like there's anger. And Amy and I said, that we my anger. I define myself, my emotions. I spend the most time in are anger, probably aggression and passion, and she was more. What were you, Amy?
I would describe the stuff I gravitate towards more as enthusiastic, cheerful, but also anxiety and fear. That I less anger and more towards anxiety.
Right. My son went and heard Amy preach, and she goes, "Oh, she's the happy preacher. She's always smiling," which I really, So, but on that, are there negative? I mean, on the screen, the anger's in red over here. It's red. Anger's red, and the feel good are in the colors I like, greens and stuff. Are are there negative and positive emotions?
Well, I think Angie Pye said it last week. She stole my line that feelings are not good or bad, they just are. I mean, I think that's written in therapy books, that's a real thing. And I say that to people. That it's true. Your emotions just are what they are. Again, you can't really control how you feel in reaction to a situation. So the connotation of good or bad, positive, negative gets attached more to our behaviors and our reactions. So thoughts, feelings, behaviors are all interconnected, and it's not a linear pattern. It can go sort of in any direction and start at any point. But if you have to kind of stop and think, how do I want to behave in response to this emotion sometimes, right? So you can feel angry, but handle it in an appropriate way. And that's not a bad thing. It's healthy to feel those things and to process and, to deal with it. It would worry me more if somebody said, I never feel angry. There's something going on there, right? We all get angry at times.
Right.
So it's just how you deal with it.
Any couple that tells me going, "Oh, we never fight," I'm like, well, that means you're probably repressing something.
Yeah. There's gotta be, right. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's bad days too.
Well, one of the things I struggle with from my perspective is a lot of times in church world, we only want what I'm going to terminology say are the feel good emotions. We want everybody happy. We want everybody upbeat. We don't. You're not supposed to be sad or depressed or anything like that. So, I don't know if there's a question because I think I've already heard you say your feelings are just your feelings, right? But why do you think in society and in church too, we don't want you to express lament or grief or sorrow that we have a tendency to want to squelch those. Why do you think people do that?
Well, it makes us squirm a little, right? You're uncomfortable. What do we do? What do we do? And I think for a lot of people, that's very private. To feel sad or hurt, or upset or betrayed or lonely. So we kind of say happy, sad, mad are kind of the basic, the three basic emotions. And happy is pretty non-threatening, right? And for lots of people, angry is an easy go-to, but sadness is not. That's not just, it's just not one that, at least in American society, that we really want to let people in on. That's our own little secret. And again, I think it's kind of like people feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make you feel better. I don't know, what to say about that. So it's like, well, then we just better not say anything at all. Don't bring it up.
Yeah, just grin and bear it.
Mm-hmm.
So we have been in this sermon series going through the story of Jacob, who is, for lack of the better words, kind of like the family screw up in this lineage. And we're in this story this week about how Jacob wrestles with God. He's up all night wrestling, and maybe not just with God, but with fear and doubt and anger and anxiety. I mean, he's going back to his brother who has an army of 400 people waiting for him. So he's probably worried about some things. When we are up all night wrestling with our thoughts, with our emotions or mental health struggles, what are some helpful hints in those nights of wrestling?
Sometimes I tell people keep like a pen and paper next to the bed. You can write down things that are bothering you, that are keeping you up, or if something wakes you up, worrying about it. Because realistically, are we solving the problems of the world at 2:30 in the morning? Nope. Right. So write it down, save it for tomorrow. It will still be there. And then you won't forget, because some people worry about that. Oh my gosh, there's all these things and I don't want to forget them. Okay, write it down, make a list. It's still there, but then there's something cathartic sometimes about tangible things. So to physically write it down and have it on a piece of paper in front of you where you can hold it and you can see it and read it sometimes just helps people feel better about it. So being able to kind of get it out for a minute and just write it down, save it for later, can be helpful at night. Also, sometimes people create a worry box. So it's a similar idea. You have a special box or place where you can write down the things that are bothering you on a little scraps of paper, put them in the box, and then you have a designated time that you're allowed to get them out and read them. And, you have your 30 minutes or whatever to worry about those things, right? And just go over it all again and again and again in your mind. But then you have to put it away, physically put those papers back in the box, put the box back on the shelf and say, all right, I'm moving on with my day, and there will be another time to address those things, but now is not the moment because there's other things going on in life. So some helpful things sometimes for people.
I've never heard about the worry. I like that worry box idea.
Now, I think we did that a few years ago here at first. We put it, was it here? See, we had it. I told everybody, put your worries or your fears in this little box, shut it up for 6 months, give it over to God, and at the end of 6 months, open it back up and see what happened with it.
Now, most of us probably have those like nights where we're up worrying, our thoughts are racing. Maybe for those who are severely struggling with mental health, whether that's depression or anxiety, what is maybe a first step in reaching out for help? I know this wasn't in the questions we gave you originally, but I think it's important that we give some people some tools when it is dark night of the soul every single night for an extended period of time. There's worry box level, and then folks who might need some mental health.
Right. Yeah, and might need a little more.
We want to destigmatize that. That's a good thing to reach out for help.
So I would say certainly you can call your primary care doctor's office and reach out to them. A lot of primary care doctors prescribe antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications. So, if that's kind of the route that you seem to qualify for, they can probably help you with that, or at least refer you to a psychiatrist who is a specialist that, deals in mental health medications. And if you're looking for somebody to talk to, a counselor or therapist, Google is everybody's best friend. There's a site called, now I forget what it's called. Good grief.
Psychology Today.
Yes. Yep. And so, it's just a list of local resources. You can see everybody's pictures and read their profiles, and it tells you what they specialize in. So if you have kind of a specific concern, that's a good way to maybe whittle down who can really help me before you start making phone calls or sending people emails. And it will even tell you like the insurances that people accept and things like that and their fees. So you can look that way. And honestly, that's how I get most of my clients. They find me online there. So it's very common, a common resource.
Awesome. And, Scott and I both have lists and resources and phone numbers of mental health professionals that are local. So we want to make ourselves available to make a referral because we are certainly not mental health professionals, but want to help you in that journey. My last question for you, Sara, is when we think of wrestling, we think of it as a sign of sin or doubt. Like we have this preconceived, like these negative emotions equals bad. And we're trying to break that stigma. But how can wrestling actually strengthen your faith? Because you come from a perspective of not only being a mental health professional, but a woman of faith as well. So how can wrestling strengthen faith?
Well, I think like anything in life, if it's on your mind a lot, it must be important to you. right?
Mhm.
So if you are taking the time to worry about something, ask questions, think about it, and dig deeper, it must be meaningful. It's something that you care about, and it matters to you. So I think, like you said, that's not a bad thing. That's going to bring you closer to God, and you may not really find the exact answers that you're looking for if you have questions, but you might learn a lot of things along the way, right? And there might be other helpful things that come from that process, um, you know, of wrestling. So, yeah, it doesn't have to be a negative term, but maybe it's just the process of growth.
Mm. I like that
All right.
spin.
As I said earlier, really seriously, my sermon's not done yet. I got to figure it out. Amy's all thrilled because she got her sermon done. If miracles happen, blind squirrel finds an acorn every now and then.
This is rare, people.
Sarah, if you and I switch places this week, if I sang and the church was in tears,
Oh, no. You have a nice singing voice, Scott.
and you were preaching, what would be like the 3 points you would want to say about emotions and faith?
What's your tweetable moment? Scott will ask.
What's your tweetable moment?
I do not use Twitter. I do not understand social media, so you are asking the wrong question.
So what are your three? What would be the three things, the three takeaways you'd want somebody to leave church on Sunday if we did a sermon on emotion? Well, we are. So what are they?
Gosh, you put me on the spot.
Okay, one, don't put people on the spot. So
yeah, it's a big question.
See why I'm having trouble with the sermon, Amy? You just flew through yours. I'm thinking through it.
I think it's because her personal emotions are on the cheerful side, so it was easier. I don't know. Well, I do think it's important to kind of say that emotions are not good or bad. They are just feelings, and you need to look at how you are reacting to your emotions. That's really what it's all about. And even something like crying, we still have a tendency to say that's bad, right? We don't want people to cry, but there must be a reason that our bodies are made to cry, right? There's this release of emotion that's a natural process. And so I don't think we need to be afraid or ashamed if there are situations that make us cry, for example. So just, monitoring your reactions to your emotions, or reactions, I guess, to, other and other people's emotions. Exactly.
One of the things I realized with my own self is I'm a thermostat. I'm not a thermometer, right? No, I'm a thermometer, not a thermostat. A thermostat can raise and lower the temperature of the room. I just go to where the temperature of the room is generally, kind of stuff. And so what I heard from you, I want to make sure I'm kind of correct on this, is emotions are neither positive or negative. Our reaction to emotions can be positive or negative. Right.
Yeah.
And we see that in scripture too, that like Jesus has this righteous anger that leads to action and change, and that doesn't have to be a bad thing. So you see, Scott, your tendency towards aggression is
all right. All right, you got anything else, Sarah, on another point? Well, good. If Sonny's not good, we're blaming you.
I get full credit.
You did fabulous.
I don't know. I'm not coming up with any other major things off the top of my head here.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for today then, and we're appreciative of your time, Sarah, and for all that you do. Sarah, not only she's also on our church guide team, she's on part of our leadership structure team, and that we're extremely blessed to have her as part of our church and helping us. And so we are grateful for that, and we look forward to hopefully finding a sermon to make this all work on Sunday. And Amy, any other final thoughts?
No, emotions just are. I love that. Preach it. All right. Thanks so much, Sarah.
No
Thanks,
problem. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.